Our trip to St. Petersburg is coming. I'm looking forward to it.
Shall we have a look at places that we're going to visit?
Okay.
Oh, look! This palace looks absolutely gorgeous.
Isn't it the Yusupov Palace?
This name sounds familiar to me.
I remember at one of the art classes I've learned that the famous Russian artist Serov painted portraits of some members of Yusupov family. By the way, one of the portraits is exhibited in State Art Museum.
Valentin Alexandrovich Serov was a Russian painter and one of the premier portrait artists of his era. Born in St. Petersburg in 1865, he spent his childhood in artistic atmosphere among musicians, sculptors and artists who were regular visitors to their home. His mother was intelligent enough to discover the boy's talent, so they moved to Paris, where Serov was taught by Repin. His style was characterized by thoughtfulness and scrupulous way of working, which were formed while he was taught in the St. Petersburg Academy of Art by Professor Pavel Chistikov. Serov's favorite genre of art was portrait, and his favorite models were actors, writers, and artists. Valentin Alexandrovich admired the masters of the 16th century Renaissance for the gentle and delicate style, which reflected harmony compared to the ponderous and serious style of the 19th century artists. Valentin Alexandrovich died in Moscow on the 5th of December because of stenocardia, aged 46. By this time he had already created many masterpieces, and one of them is definitely the portrait of Zinaida Yusupova.
Oh, now I remember that the owners of this painting was the Yusupov family. It was taught in one of the manors, but in which it isn't known. This portrait was given to the Russian Museum and later to the Nizhegorod State Art Museum.
The portrait of Zinaida Yusupova was painted in 1903. Every person who is interested in Russian art knows that Serov loved working slowly. In his scrupulous artworks, we can clearly see his attitude to a person, an object, or a place he painted, because he paid attention to every tiniest detail. On the portrait of Zinaida Yusupova, we can see her tender face and a soft smile, which shows Serov's good attitude to her. This woman was loved by everyone for her kindness, sympathy, and unpretentiousness. Although hearing compliments from Valentin Serov was a real rarity, even he appreciated Zinaida Nikolaevna.
Don't you think she seems a bit arrogant, judging by her posture and her look?
No, I don't. This portrait really shows that her eyes exude and her jewelry isn't too exuberant. Probably the contrast of cool and warm colors creates such an impression. Also, this portrait was painted in non-finito technique that contributes to the softness of the image. I think this artwork is a real masterpiece. Firstly, Serov was and remains a prominent artist. Secondly, it is painted at the turn of the century and combining a mixture of old traditions and new unusual aspirations. Thirdly, portrait woman herself was outstanding personality, a member of well-known aristocratic family whose role in Russian history cannot be underrated. And critics describe this artwork as one of the most interesting and psychological works of Valentin Serov. But I was most struck by simplicity of it.
The more I look at this portrait, the more details I can find.
That's why it's a real masterpiece, so much hidden beyond the frame.
Nizhegorod State Art Museum is always open to visitors for interactive quizzes and educational excursions led by knowledgeable and friendly guides.